welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to. In the ever so desperate hunt for points, and it's round 13, the Italian Grand Prix, the last European Grand Prix for HRT, and the last one of our season in 2012. And as you can see, there are 3 drivers now listed on our hub. We're going to be going up against Daniel Ricciardo as our rival for the remainder of this season. We've had a rival in every season so far. In season 1, I think it was Nico Rosberg, because we were that high up the table. Last season, I think it was quite possibly one of the Virgin Racing cars or one of the HRTs. I can't really remember. But this year, it's going to be Danny Rick, a driver that I think a lot of people really like. But in his debut season at Toro Rosso, so far has only scored 12 points. He's 3 points behind us and 2 places behind us in the standings. He did manage to get points, though, in a wet and wild Belgian Grand Prix. A race where we might have been able to pick up points. We were running in 9th, and there was carnage, there were drivers off, collisions, DNFs, the works. But we picked up yet another penalty, colliding with Kimi Räikkönen on the lap we were due to pit, so we ended up having to do a drive-through. Toyed with the idea of staying out, because it was a wet race. We were going to run the wet tyres to the end, but found that we were starting to lose grip. Kimi got past, and then we were caught past by Senna and Hamilton, and also Paul di Resta. So we ended up 13th, which doesn't sound great in terms of, getting points, but for an HRT, 13th would have been incredible. I think it was probably even better, the best result they ever had. Obviously, not quite for us, because we took that 3rd place back in Malaysia. So, at the moment, we are desperately trying to find our way back into the points, but it has been incredibly difficult to do that so far. Monza is a circuit of high power, high speed, and not a huge amount of hope for us. So let's take a look at the standings before we head into Italy, and probably an awful lot of pain. We are 14th. We have managed to maintain that position for a couple of races, but the likes of Hulkenberg and Ricciardo and Verne are now starting to circle behind us. At the top end of things, Fernando Alonso leads the way, with Hamilton just in behind 11 points. Behind Webber a little bit further back. Jumped Button after the last round, and Button is 4th ahead of Vettel, who was in 5th. He didn't have a great race in Belgium, and the defence of his title looking less and less likely here. Might even finish behind both McLarens, his teammate, and a Ferrari by the end of the year. Grosjean is in 6th, our early season pacer, and just ahead of his teammate Räikkönen, who's still trying to fight back from a poor start of the year. Rosberg's 8th ahead of Maldonado, then it's Massa. Schumacher, Perez, Kobayashi, there we are. As I said, just ahead of Hulk, just ahead of Ricciardo, and just ahead of Verne. 10 clear of Paul di Resta, who's in 18th, who can still catch and pass us. As can Bruno Senna, who's 11 points behind if they get good results in the remaining races. No points scored, though, for Kovalainen, Petrov, De La Rosa, Glock, Peak, and Kartikeyan, who shows up in the post-race drivers' standings, although he's obviously not going to get to drive this year. We remain with HRT on equal footing. So he's not going to take our seat, and we're not going to take Pedro's. In the constructors, we slipped to 10th after Toro Rosso got a double-point score and jumped both us and Force India. At the top end of things, it's McLaren leading the way, ahead of Red Bull, who jumped Ferrari into 2nd. Lotus are 4th, ahead of Mercedes. Then there's Williams, Sauber. Toro Rosso, Force India, there we are in P10, ahead of Caterham and Marussia. So we've lost ground. We've had those 15 points since round 3, and I think Belgium was probably our best race in quite some time, probably since about the European Grand Prix, maybe. Because Germany was all right, I think, if I remember rightly. But yeah, since sort of Valencia is the last race that we didn't get a penalty and drove fairly calmly, we really need to stop picking up these penalties. I don't know. It's a sensitive game for pens, this one. I'd say a couple of them. Britain, for example, spinning off and collecting somebody and then getting a penalty for it. Same with Canada, actually. We span and went backwards into Maldonado. I think maybe a little harsh. but we have to live and abide by the race director, so that's what we're going on. Monza, hopefully, we can just avoid other people and avoid the dreaded white line on pit exit. But we are going to be a bit of a sitting duck on all of the straights at this iconic circuit. So we better get out there and see what our pace is like. So let's go to practice, and while we do, we'll talk about the 2012 Italian Grand Prix. The final European race of the season was at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, and the race saw a necessary driver change at Lotus. After Grosjean was found guilty of causing the pile-up in Belgium, along with some other first-lap incidents during the season, he was suspended for this race, meaning that Jerome D'Ambrosio, the former Virgin Racing driver, stepped in. This race was also the 50th for Vitaly Petrov and the 100th for Pedro Della Rosa. The first practice session saw a few minor offs for a number of drivers, including Raikkonen, who hit a speed bump while going wide at one of the chicanes. The Lotus caught air and suffered minor damage. Schumacher would also have an off, but would top the session ahead of Button and Rosberg. There were also no major issues in the second session. McLaren once again looking strong as Hamilton led a McLaren 1-2 with Button behind. Alonso would bring cheer to the Tifosi as he slotted into third, even with minor brake and gearbox issues. The final practice session was also topped by Hamilton, but he was followed closely by Alonso, who had been quickest for a long period. Paul di Resta would take an impressive third place in his Force India, while Red Bull, who'd struggled through Friday running, would continue to struggle in the final session. Qualifying would start, as was customary, with the back six cars being eliminated in the first session, though they would all start ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, the German having to stop on his first flying lap with a fuel pressure problem, so he'd start last. Q2 saw Jerome D'Ambrosio finish bottom of the pile in his Lotus, unable to get on the same level as Raikkonen in his one-off appearance, while Red Bull continued to struggle. Mark Webber would be the big name to fall in Q2, unable to get on top of his issues and would only line up 11th. Ferrari were looking strong at home, but they would be beaten by McLaren, Hamilton taking pole ahead of Button, with Massa managing to take third. Paul di Resta would take fourth, but would start ninth with a grid penalty, while championship leader Alonso could only manage 10th. Hamilton got away from the line well, but both Ferraris made lightning starts behind. Massa jumped Button and challenged Hamilton to turn one, while Alonso made up 3 spots off the line. Alonso would continue his charge a lap later, getting past Raikkonen to move into 6th, while Massa began to drop back towards Button. Schumacher, who'd maintained 4th, was being chased by Vettel. The Red Bull eventually moved into a DRS range and got by Schumacher to claim that 4th place. Eric Verne would find himself suffering a suspension failure on the run down to turn 1, hitting the curbs and getting airborne. His Toro Rosso would come to rest off-circuit, fortunately not collecting anywhere in the process, though he would suffer some back pain. Perez would be the driver on the move, carving his way through the field on the harder tyre, meaning he'd take the lead while all of the guys up front pitted on the softer tyre. Vettel and Alonso would duel for some time, Alonso attempting to get round Vettel on the outside of Curva Grande. Vettel didn't see the Ferrari on the outside and forced him off track, Alonso surviving quite the scare. Vettel would be handed a drive-through for that incident, serving it on lap 32 and dropping himself behind Webber in 7th. McLaren would lead in a 1-2 until lap 34, when Button would pull off to the side of the track with a fuel feed problem. Perez, who'd pit and moved to the softer tyres, was once again carving his way through the pack, making short work of everyone in his way. Vettel would retire near the end of the race before Webber span off and 8 points, campaigning a miserable weekend for Red Bull. Perez would chase down Hamilton, but would run out of time, leaving the McLaren to take victory ahead of Perez, the Mexican taking his 3rd podium of the season. Alonso would take a podium in front of the Tifosi, extending his championship lead. What will our underpowered car be able to do at the Temple of Speed? Well, we've really been on the wrong end of qualifying in the last few rounds, and I don't expect it to change here in Monza. I'm of the opinion that we'll be lucky to get our last spot on the grid with just that slow. But we've got to push for all we can. I'd say aim for 20th place, seeing if we can at least avoid the ignominy at the back and maybe beat a couple of the other back markers on our way to it.
Pedro's currently 5th. We know it's going to be a struggle to get out of this session, but give it your best shot.
In the garage then for qualifying at the Italian Grand Prix, practice didn't really go so well. Binned it through the Della Roggia in the 4th lap, lost the front wing, decided to just finish the rest of my laps without a front wing, because you don't necessarily need it too much at Monza. But all of us at the back by 3-4 seconds plus, so we're not getting it in Q1, that's absolutely for sure. But we really need to get back on top of beating our teams around us. So let's get out there and see what we can do. Looks like our fastest lap in Monza. We've already improved once, which is good news for us. But as we head down to the Rettifido chicane, we get nice and early on the brakes, make sure that we can get it turned in. Bounce across the curves a little bit, but it's nice and smooth through there, and we can get on the power early on exit. Already slipping back down the table as it stands though, as we head through Curva Grande, keeping the DRS open and just being brave by keeping our foot to the floor on that. As we head into the Della Roggia chicane, 2 3/4 tenths up, but on our best time it's 6 tenths down on the cars up near the front. Coming into the first Lesbo, try and use the camber there to get you round. A little bit wide on entry, which doesn't really help, but we do make up for it in the second part of the Lesbo, getting that one pretty much nailed on through the chicanes. Or through the curves, should I say, heading down towards the Ascari chicane, that's where I was going with that. As we cut the beam for the end of the second sector. 8 tenths of a second up on our best time, but 1.8 seconds off the guys at the front. But we're nice and tidy through Ascari, and it's really all about now just power down towards Parabolica Michele Alboreto. You can see the fuel's running out as well though, which is going to compromise us right at the very death of this lap. But we get around Parabolica quite nicely, swing the car, and you can just hear it struggling. But the line is not far away. We improve, but is it enough?
Last place, really not what we wanted. Let's see if we can have a better day tomorrow.
And we end qualifying in Monza in our worst position ever. 24th and last. Just much like Hungary, just never really got to grips with anything here. 4 tenths of a second off peak. Kovalainen, Della Rosa, Petrov and Glock. 3 tenths of a second off most of them. Bruno Senna, the man that drops out with us. We were never going to have the pace to get into Q2, but I would have at least liked to have beaten the other teams around us. I have no idea why. I've got no pace whatsoever here, but it means that this is officially going to be the worst qualifying position that we'll ever have in the rest of this series, because after this one it drops to 22 on the grid. Hopefully race day can be a lot better. It was in Belgium after a pretty poor qualifying, well, fairly poor qualifying. It was alright in Hungary for bits after a bad qualifying, but there's also supposedly mixed conditions on the way here. Let's cross to the race and see if we can move in the one direction that's left, forwards. Welcome then to the garage for the 2012 Italian Grand Prix, and we are 24th and last, as low as we're going to get in this series, and hopefully as low as we get for the rest of this season. But after that 23rd in Hungary, I was really hoping we wouldn't stoop to the back spot of the grid, but here we are. No pace in qualifying, couldn't even get close to the teams around us, so it's going to be quite the difficult race. I think we're going to be really struggling to match those guys, but 49% chance of rain, who knows? Mixed conditions might save us, unlike Hungary where they hindered us. But let's take a look at the grid and we'll talk about our hopes for this one. It's Lewis Hamilton who takes pole ahead of championship rival Fernando Alonso. Mark Webber in third, with Button in fourth, Vettel in fifth. Top five in the championship standings, top five after qualifying. Schumacher in 6th, ahead of Raikkonen, Rosberg, Massa and Hulkenberg. Kobayashi's 11th, our rival Ricciardo, is in P12. Then it's Maldonado, Di Resta, Jean-Eric Verne, Grosjean down in 16th after a poor qualifying, same as Perez down in 17th. Then it's Bruno Senna in 18th, who was knocked out with Pique, Kovalainen, Della Rosa, Petrov, Glock and ourselves. And yeah, mixed conditions race at Monza could prove to be full of carnage. It might end up being like Hungary for us, though, where we switch tyres, we think, at the right time, but just don't have any pace on them. We don't really have any pace in the dry. So this is going to be quite the slog. The team want 20th, which even seems like a stretch. I don't think I've got the pace on the Caterhams. I'm even struggling to have pace on Della Rosa and the Marussias. So this might even be a slog to get close to them. But I think we'll aim for the team objective at least. It's a low bar, but hopefully one we can get over. We said the same in Hungary and didn't make it there. So, yeah. And it's going to be quite the concertina effect into the Rettifilo chicane on lap 1. So we've got to be careful not to pick up any penalties there. We haven't had a penalty-free race since Valencia. Really need one. Today really needs to be that one. Enough stalling though. From the back of the grid, let's head to that grid for the 2012 Italian Grand Prix. Hamilton and Alonso on the front row. Our rival Ricciardo in 12th. There's Della Rosa, and you can see us in the background, right at the back. Nobody behind us. Need a good launch here. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, and 5. Bit of a hole, but away we go. Petrov's had a poor start. Glock's immediately gone past him. We've not exactly excelled either. As everybody heads on down to the Rettifilo, going to have to be fairly careful from all the way back here. A little nudge on Glock as we try to avoid the Marussia. Peaks right on the inside. We've at least got past Petrov, so we're not last. Out of the Rettifilo chicane. Peak comes to a complete stop in front of us. We're nudging past Heikki Kovalainen. Inside for the Della Rosa. And up alongside Pedro. We managed to just about get round him. We're into P20. Timo Glock's had a great start by the looks of it. Because he's the only one not behind us, but there he is. Into the second Lesmo. Senna around the outside, but Senna then off. Which gives us a spot. Yellow flag as Senna recovers to the circuit. We'll try and hunt Glock down into a Ascari. And we don't break him. Sort of could, but then we ran wide. Della Rosa's through. And get a better run on the exit. Or do we? Pedro, a bit faster. We have to block off Pete. Look how slow we are compared to these guys. As we catch the grass towards the Parabolica, we save ourselves. Glock's getting away from us. And we're barely able to keep pace with these guys.
Pedro is just ahead of you.
Kovalainen, Peak and Petrov all just going to come streaming past. We'll try and go up the inside of all of them. Into the Rettifilo. We make it. So back into P19. Senna's going to be on the back of this group already. Glock has lost to the top 17. He's on his own because we've lost Glock. And we are with no pace at all. We can't even close in on Glock. In fact, we're the ones under pressure from Pedro Della Rosa. Look at him go. Back up the inside at Ascari. We only finished 24th once in this series, and that was Australia this season in 2012. Mostly down to mistakes, but this time around, if we finish 24th, it's going to be on pace, because we have none. terrible line through Ascari. Kovalainen's got past De La Rosa behind us. Senna's already got past everybody behind us. Bruno Senna's going to be gunning for us very shortly. Second Lesmo again. Car just will not turn there. Senna's going to have DRS. I don't think I've got anything to fight him. Well, there's a yellow flag out up ahead. Bruno Senna goes through. Somebody's
focus. We can get that place back.
Binned it into Ascari, I think. We had a much better run through Ascari
DRS to gain a speed advantage if you need to get
we had on the last lap. Staying in Senna's slipstream, so that's something. Just close right up to Timo Glock as well. See how Senna handles Glock this time. Close up to the back of the Marussia. Senna's going around the outside. Made it. We had to back off a little bit there. Thought we were going to go into the back of the Marussia. But we don't. Evasive action, but we get warned for it at least. DRS again. This time on Timo Glock. See if we can try and get past the Marussia and then get away. That's not good though. Straight through the gravel at Ascari. We lose traction again and again. Kovalainen's passed. Petrov's going to go. Peak will be next and then we'll be at the back.
Just posted the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, this is going to be a terrible race.
We think there's a chance of light rain in 15 minutes time. 15 minutes.
Rain in 15 minutes.
Our data's showing that the car ahead's likely to be running in fuel conservation mode. His times will be slightly slower than normal.
We're on the brakes into the Rettifila, past Petrov. It might be faster than these guys in race pace. By much, but by enough. Just need to not throw it off the circuit at every braking point. Full run through the Lesmos then. Petrov's back past us. Honestly, not entirely sure we can beat them. This time I get through Ascari without going for a little trip through the gravel. How much faster the Caterham is in a straight line.
The gap to the car in front is less than a second. Let's try and get past
Parabolica.
in the DRS zone.
Get him on DRS though, Lou.
The guys have run the numbers. Petrov will be pitting within the next 3 laps.
Defensive, we'll get past him. Past me here. Well, no, once again, get him on the brakes into the Rettifilo. Still lose time to Kovalainen and Glock. I don't know if we're going to finish any better than last at this point. Rain's not going to hit, I don't think, before we have pit stops. So I don't think we're going to be able to hold these tyres out until any such weather. Petrov again, once again around the outside into the chicane, but once again we'll just outbrake him. Kovalainen has got past Timo Glock. Caterhams are much faster than the HRTs and the Marussias, that's for certain.
We think there's a chance of light rain in 10 minutes time. 10 minutes.
Yellow flag further up the field, looking like in the Ascari chicane. Maybe the AI have once again put it in the sand there. Moving to P20, Bruno Senna has retired. He must have caught the instant at Ascari and gone straight through somebody. Looks like Ricardo's made an awful lot of places through that. He's up into 10th. Petrov already back with us. Well, at least even if we fall to last, we won't match our worst result, which was Australia, as Petrov goes past. There's the detection line now, I think. So, play a little bit of a tactical game here. Indeed, get DRS. Petrov's getting away from us. On the brakes into the Ratifilia, and we're through again, back into P20. I think this is about our fight for the rest of this one. Terrible race in Hungary, followed by a pretty decent race in Belgium. As Petrov clips the back of us, loses his front wing.
We think the car behind is running on 4 revs. He's trying to close the gap. Radar suggests light rain in around 5 minutes.
Looking at rain in about 5 minutes time. Tyres look okay at the moment. Move to another set of the option tyres. And see if we can switch straight to Inters before they wear out. Bit of a bold call, this one. Peak is closing. Della Rosa will go past us because we're in. Kovalainen's in. Glock is also in, so Peak stays out anyway. So we will fall to 22nd. Should get out well ahead of Petrov. Obviously had his damage. You know, banking on this rain being heavy enough for Inters. Peak and Della Rosa are in. We should jump them as we head down towards the Parabolica. We should jump them. They're already starting to move. There's Pedro. He's jumped Peak in the pits. We're just about to get back out in front of them. Incredible lack of pace here. Just about beat Pedro Della Rosa and Charles Peak. And regained 20th place.
We're starting to see light rain out on track. It's starting to rain.
That's the call to say that it's starting to rain. Doesn't look like it yet. Prep those Inters.
Intermediate tyres confirmed.
Peak has once again got past Della Rosa. Oh, actually, I think maybe I can see some rain. I can. Alright. Is this rain going to get heavy enough to necessitate the switch to Inters? A few laps before our second stop. I wonder if we do what we did at Silverstone. Come in maybe just a fraction before it's ready, get on the Inters and then be quick. There's nothing to lose in this position.
Intermediate tyres for next
Here we come.
box.
I'm going to go for the Inters now. Sort of worked in Hungary. We fall a lap down, we'll fall behind Peak and Della Rosa.
Go.
Fall behind Petrov. I think we are.
You have no more scheduled pit stops, so look after your tyres.
They all go through. We're starting to see.
The race officials have disabled DRS due to the weather conditions.
DRS has been disabled. I think we've got this just right once again.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
We'll move out of the way. Let the Force India through. We're only 12 seconds behind Della Rosa. So if they all decide to come in for Inters, we'll jump them back. Oh, it does look like they're all coming in now. Glock and Kovalainen actually might have stayed out. That might be
Be
a big
aware,
mistake.
we think the car behind is trying to save fuel.
He's just trying to get back into P20. Sebastian Vettel, the man in 4th. Be careful here. Wet tyres, just in case.
Wet tyres for next box.
If it ends up being that Glock and Kovalainen have made the absolute blinding strategy call and move straight to wet tyres. It looks like they're just in the pits now.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Button. Kobayashi. Preferred me to be completely out of the way by the parabolica, but we open the door on the inside and through he goes. That'll be Felipe Massa, I think, behind us. Surely have enough to get past us on the start-finish straight. We'll back off a little though, just to let him go. Get lapped once again. Try and let Rosberg through at the Della Roja. We do. Just a little bit of time. I feel like we're probably going to need wet tyres at some point. We are closing on the end of this one. Nico Hulkenberg as we run a little wide into Ascari. We get away with it though.
You're leading Pig by 5 seconds. There's a 5-second gap to Pig.
Della Rosa don't have leaders immediately behind them. Quite feel with these earlier games.
It might be worth thinking about putting a set of full wets on. We've seen a few people change over.
I think you're right there, Engineer Andy. I was about to say you don't
have a 3-second gap between you and the car behind.
often
3 seconds.
get told by your engineer what tyres to be on, but I think he's right. Look at that. Can't even get around the second Lasmo. Charles Peak will just about keep the Murasha behind us. Realistically, only just.
You're currently matching race pace.
Blading
Good job.
into Ascari. Not the only one. Yeah, everybody's coming in for full wets. Glock and Kovalainen didn't time theirs quite right as we've got a yellow flag. We're straight off Parabolica.
The tyres have picked up some marbles.
Through those
Keep
peak.
to the racing line and wear them off.
Surely, yeah, we'll be going in. We'll be in and out well before the other Marussia. Della Rosa, I think. Is Della Rosa going to keep going? And he's going to follow us in. Tyres are on. That's Della Rosa behind us. Thing is, I don't think I've got the pace to get back past Charles Peak. Might in the wet though. We drove fairly well in the wet in Belgium. Hopefully we can do the same here. Just about to see Peak's rain light up ahead. Love to get that 20th place back. That's how far off we are today. Petrov's even got past Della Rosa. Such has been the carnage with the weather.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
The rest is behind us. Get us on the straight, you think? Schumacher, Maldonado, De Resta, all trying to get past. We have to really back off to let them
We're
through.
just 5 seconds behind Pig. Keep pushing.
huge amount of time to Charles Peak, but if we can stay with these guys, they might be able to guide us past the Marussia as they go for lap to put a lap on him.
Let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Raikkonen outside the points. He's a bad day. We're being caught by our rival Ricciardo, who's going to lap us.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Perez should have the pace to just get past me on the straight. Perez gets mighty close there. To run wide through the parabolica to let him through once again. And to our final lap of what's been a hugely disappointing Italian Grand Prix. It's not had any pace at all through the entire race weekend. We're even going to finish behind both Marussias. One of the Caterhams at the moment, only just ahead of the other, and Pedro Della Rosa. Bruno Senna's retirement may be the only thing keeping us off the back. Just had absolutely no pace whatsoever throughout the entire race, as we have to move out the way into the Della Rosa chicane for Romain Grosjean. Fernando Alonso takes a win in front of the Tifosi to strengthen his grip on the title. The tail end of the European leg of the season has been pretty woeful, minus a decent-ish race in Belgium. Come into the final few corners as we head through Ascari.
The car behind, just 2 seconds.
Petrol closing in right in the DAF. We should be able to just about stay ahead of the Caterham. Peak having traffic issues into Parabolica, but he's going to be too far in front for us to catch. Across the line, 21st. End on a sour note in Italy. And so a fairly disappointing Italian Grand Prix comes to an end. We make a few positions of gain through the race, but we started last and we only finished 21st. Real terrible way to end the European season. At the top end of things, Fernando Alonso takes victory ahead of Lewis Hamilton with Mark Webber in third. Vettel jumps button to finish fourth, so the top 5 in the stand-ins, top 5 in the race. Massa sixth ahead of Rosberg, Kobayashi, Hulkenberg and Maldonado. Schumacher's 11th with Raikkonen 12th, and Di Resta, our rival Daniel Ricciardo ahead of Sergio Perez, Romain Grosjean, Jean-Eric Verne, Heikki Kovalainen, Timo Glock, Charles Pic, all ahead of us. Petrov, Della Rosa just behind, and Bruno Senna doesn't finish. As you can see, our fastest lap, slowest of everybody once again, not the first time this season. Yeah, what does that do to the stand-ins? Well, Fernando Alonso now leads by 18 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Webber in third, 51 points back, jumps a little clear of Jensen, who's in fourth. Vettel, 102 points off. I'm pretty certain that almost rules him out of this one, surely. If everybody continues scoring points the way they've been scoring, there's no way he's going to come back. Romain Grosjean remains ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Rosberg's 8th with Massa 9th and it's Maldonado. Schumacher 11th. Perez is in 12th. Kobayashi's 13th. Hulkenberg jumps us by a point, so we're now down to 15th. Still 3 ahead of Daniel Ricciardo and 5 ahead of Jean-Eric Verne, who didn't score. Di Resta also didn't score. He's in 18th. Senna didn't score. He's in 19th. Kovalainen, Petrov, Della Rosa, Glock, Peak and Kartikeyan with no points this season. In the Constructors, McLaren 73 clear of Ferrari, who retake second from Red Bull by 2 points. Lotus are fourth, with Mercedes fifth, and Sauber, Williams, Toro Rosso, Force India pull a little further away now. We're now 7 behind Toro Rosso, 6 behind Force India, but 15 clear of Caterham and Marussia, which is, I think, where we're going to stay. We'll at least finish ahead of them, and that's really the sole aim of these first 3 seasons, is beat the other new teams, and that sort of continues through the next couple, when Caterham and Marussia still exist, and then when Caterham are gone, it's all about trying to beat established teams outright for the last couple of years. For Manor, or at least the last season for Manor in 2016, and McLaren just in 2015, just need a break. But that's all in the future. This race is one I'm glad to see the back of. We've had a couple of pretty terrible ones in Hungary and Italy, Belgium, kind of the shining light in the middle, and we probably could have taken points there if it wasn't for an overzealous send on Kimi Räikkönen getting us a penalty and then just not really having the pace to compete thereafter. But it's flyaway rounds now, off to Singapore, the site of our miracle last season in the Team Lotus car, finishing 4th. Don't think we're going to match that. I think that 3rd place back in Malaysia is going to be the only thing that we see points at the end of. But there's still a few rounds to go, so we've just really got to focus in and try our best. Hopefully we can pick up points going forward. Thank you so much for watching another painful race for me. Hopefully it was enjoyable for you. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, you know the drill by now. I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Bye for now.